The hardest part of a troopy camper fit out is the fact that everything is a variable. You dial one knob up and there are cascading effects. More power? Sure, it can be done, but at the cost of extra weight and more volume required. The same is true for water and fridge space and storage. You name it, there are trade-offs that have to be made no matter what. Because I'm in the early stages of redesigning this troopy fit out, I'm taking a really close look at my core systems like power and water and some of the main gear that I know I'm going to need to carry to assess any areas for improvement. It's a constant effort to weigh the pros and cons of each of these decisions, and today I want to share with you some of those choices that I've made so far. Now, the first item up for debate here is my fridge. This 75-liter dual zone fridge has served me well for the past 5 years. And this is maybe one of the most interesting things I've learned about myself and my style of travel since transitioning from weekend camping trips in the 4Runner to full-time living out of the troopy. See, back when I first got this fridge and was doing those weekend trips with my buddies, I actually felt limited by only having a 75-liter fridge. I was thinking maybe I should have done 90 liters. And that's because I would go to the grocery store for these 2-3 day trips and absolutely pack this to the brim. Those trips were a chance to let loose, hang out with my friends, and just have a good time. So half of this was getting filled up with cans and beverages, and the other half was full of ingredients to make pretty elaborate meals. We were eating steak and potatoes every single night we were out there. That has changed significantly since moving into the troopy, not only because my budget doesn't allow for steak and potatoes every single night, but my meals are just less elaborate overall and they take up less space. This fridge is pretty big. It's almost 70 pounds, empty, about 34 inches long, 19 inches tall, and 20 inches wide. And for now, utilizing only maybe 30-40% of that interior volume, it's just too much weight and space to devote to a fridge. So I've had this idea for a while now that moving to a smaller fridge not only saves a ton of weight and a lot of volume inside the troopy, but it also gives me a lot more flexibility on where I place it. So that's why I'm super excited for my brand new Iceco APL 35. When I saw that Iceco came out with this APL 35 a few months ago, I instantly knew that it was going to be the perfect fridge for my Pan American Highway adventure. Not only is it just gorgeous to look at, I love this all aluminum construction. It has just the perfect aesthetic. I think it looks almost like an alu box. I love it. But at 35 liters, still with dual zones, it's about half the capacity of this 75 liter, a little under. But like I said, I've only been using 30 to 40% of the capacity of this fridge on average anyways. So I think it's going to be perfectly sized for me with a little bit of wiggle room in there. But the real beauty of it having half the capacity of the current fridge is that pretty much all the other specs are cut in half too. This fridge only weighs 32 pounds compared to the nearly 70 of this one. That's an awesome reduction in weight. And dimension-wise, we're 27 inches across the long face, about 15.5 inches tall, and about 14.5 inches deep. So the volume that we're saving here is going to be pretty considerable when it comes to storage. But that's not even the best part. This fridge literally solves my biggest pain point with my current fridge. Let me show you. Now, I honestly can't even tell you how many times this has happened to me, and it has been the most annoying part of owning this fridge. Anytime I reach in here, whether I'm loading groceries in or grabbing something at mealtime, reaching in, digging around, and the lid slams down right on my arm. This, honestly, with the way that it was positioned right behind the driver's seat, I was never able to fully open the lids to where they would naturally just hold there. There was always a bit of an angle, and they would always slam right down on my arm. It really annoyed the heck out of me. So that's why this was one of the most exciting features to me when I first read about this fridge. They've innovated with the hinge design, so you've got a lid that stays open at nearly any angle. We can go fully open. We can go, I think, all the way down to about 45 degrees, and you can reach in, you can grab what you need to, and there's no risk of slamming down on your wrist or your forearm anymore. And I could honestly not be more excited about that. So now, I mentioned before that having a smaller, lighter fridge gives me a ton of flexibility in terms of where I put it inside the Troopy. With my previous fridge, it was living up behind the driver's seat because that was really the only place there was room for it. I couldn't fit it back here because of the wheel wells, there just wasn't enough room. But with this guy, my plan is to mount it up here over the top of a storage cabinet, sort of at about this height. Imagine it sort of like that, maybe. And I really think that's going to be an awesome position for it in terms of usability, loading groceries in, getting things out at mealtime. It was such a hassle to have to climb all the way in or climb into the driver's seat and reach around. It just wasn't as usable as I would have liked it to be. So I'm super excited about this. Now, full disclosure here, when I saw that Iceco came out with this fridge, I actually reached out to them because it was absolutely perfect for my needs, and I was genuinely super excited about it. I explained who I was and this trip that I was on, and that I thought it would be a really cool opportunity to be the first person to put this fridge through its paces and take it up and down the Pan American Highway on this year-plus long journey. They bought into the vision and wanted to help support me, so they sent me the fridge for free, and they also gave me a discount code to share with you all that you can find down in the description below. And if you're in the market for a new fridge and think that the APL 35 is right for you, if you use that link to purchase, I'll get a small kickback and it'll help put some gas in the tank. But you can rest assured that they have no control over my review of this unit or what I say. I'm approaching it as unbiasedly as possible, and the enthusiasm that I have for this fridge is genuinely my own. If it doesn't perform or isn't up to the task, you'll see it in real time, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. But I have a lot of confidence in it. Not only is it super rugged with the all aluminum construction, but it's got the German C-Cop compressor in, which is pretty much the best of the best, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. So I'm pretty positive that we're not going to have any issues with this unit, but we'll have to wait and see what happens when we're on the road. Now, this next piece of gear is not sexy in the slightest, but in my opinion, it's a pretty important one, and it's one that I've been doing a lot of research on and a lot of shopping around for before I landed on the Boxio portable composting toilet. Now, for 90% of the places that I camp, a portable composting toilet is not a requirement. But for that other 10%, there may be local regulations that dictate you have to pack out your own waste. There may be leave no trace principles that dictate that digging a cat hole is not the proper way to dispose of your human waste, and therefore you need to pack it out. And doing the Pan American Highway, there might be times where I'm camping on private land, where I'm not digging a cat hole. Maybe I'm stealth camping in the middle of a town or city where bathrooms may not be accessible. And so, as sort of a last resort or emergency use only type situation, I was really keen to get my hands on a portable composting toilet. I like the Boxio for a couple of reasons. The first is the form factor. It's built into this Eurobox standard. It kind of looks like a milk crate, and that is actually a big selling point for me. There are a lot of composting toilets on the market that are just wonky shapes and form factors with big curves and rounded edges, which aesthetically is pretty pleasing, but when you're trying to build it into about 44 square feet of living space, becomes a challenge, and you end up wasting a lot of space. But with this square form factor, I'm able to build a perfect size cubby, waste absolutely zero space, and have this tucked away for when nature calls and it's really required. Now, I really do think the design of this unit is pretty smart, including the exterior form factor. There are a lot of features on the inside that I think make it worth it. The first is that you've got a built-in liquids and solids separator. So big hole is for big jobs, little hole is for little jobs. And underneath here then, your liquids drain straight into an easy to carry, easy to dispose of liquids canister. And then underneath the big hole, you've got your solids container. And it comes with these compostable Boxio bags, and it's kind of like picking up bandit's poop. I line the solids container with a bag, I throw down some of this hemp, and I do my business, and I'm able to tie it off and dispose of it pretty easily. This under compartment underneath is the perfect storage solution for your extra hemp, your extra bags, anything you need. And it comes with these little clips to keep the two compartments together so that you're nice and stable while you're using it. Now, a portable composting toilet is not something that I'm going to be using every day. Like I said, about 90% of the places I camp, I can just dig a cat hole and that'll be that. But it is one of those things that when you need it, and it just needs to work. So the fact that this unit is pretty low tech, pretty robustly built, and is just going to fit really nicely in the troopy with the form factor, and especially with my main storage solution being those Sideo crates that are a very similar format to this Eurobox standard, it's just going to work for me. Now, for the sake of full transparency, again, this is a place where Boxio and I had a conversation where I explained who I was and the trip I was on, and they were excited enough about what I was doing to send me this unit for free. However, that is not going to impact my opinion or my review of this unit. I'm genuinely excited to have it and use it when that time comes. And as I learn more about it or find any positives or negatives about it, I'll be sharing them all with you right here. If you're in the market for something like a Boxio composting toilet, these are super easy to get on Amazon, and there's a link down in the description below. And if you buy it through that link, I'll get a small kickback and put some gas in the tank, so I appreciate it. Now, another place I'm really putting some thought into for this build out is the electrical system. When I first did the fit out, I was only able to do 2 of these 200 amp hour lithium packs. For the energy density, the size, and the weight, it was really the best I could get at the time. But earlier this year, Renogy came out with a 300 amp hour version of this pack. It has the same exact form factor, but 100 extra amp hours and only about 15 or 20 pounds heavier, I think, which could really be huge. I know that 400 amp hours is already a ton of power, but I have a secret project up my sleeve that I really want to try to get done before this fit out is finished. And it's going to be a little bit power hungry. So having that extra capacity might really pay off in the long run. I'm debating about it because obviously batteries are expensive and these ones are still in great shape. If you can get more energy density in the same footprint, it feels kind of like a no-brainer to me. But I'll keep you updated on that front. So the last thing here that I'm really excited about has to do with connectivity. As you guys know, Starlink has become an integral part of my setup. From staying connected on the road to being able to make and upload these videos for you all, I'm honestly not sure how we did this without it. But it comes with its drawbacks. As you can see, it's bulky and it's awkwardly shaped. It doesn't fit nicely anywhere. Sure, I can pull the feet off here, but then I'm still left with this massive dish and massive length of cable, and just none of it fits really nicely anywhere. And in addition to that, it's kind of annoying to have to power it. The standalone router that comes with this has no option to be powered off of DC batteries. So I've got to plug that into my inverter, and I'm getting efficiency losses at each step of the way. I'm losing a little bit of power, converting it at the inverter. It's going into the router, which is reconverting it, and I'm getting some loss there. And so it's just a little bit power hungry. That's why I was so excited when they came out with the Starlink Mini. All of this has now been condensed down into this tiny form factor. The router is built in here. It can be powered directly off my 12-volt DC system. And with all of that, you'd probably say you must be giving up a ton of performance. But the truth is, you're really not. There's a slight hit to the performance with the smaller size of the dish, and your alignment has to be a little bit more accurate because you don't have the motors to help you get aligned. But other than that, the initial reviews of this unit are singing its praises, and I think for the smaller form factor and the fact that I can power it directly off my DC batteries alone, I'm willing to take whatever performance hit I get with this. So that's going to save me a ton of room. As you can probably tell, my real goal with some of these decisions and trade-offs that I'm making is a focus on saving space and saving weight. Some of these savings may get redistributed into other parts of the fit out or core pieces of the system, but some of it may just be overall savings. And that's really my goal, is to have this new fit out come in underweight of the previous fit out, because any weight we can save is a good thing. It impacts our fuel consumption, it impacts our wear and tear on the vehicle itself, it impacts our safety and stability off-road. So it's definitely a big goal of mine. But as you can tell, we've got our work cut out for us. I've still got an empty troopy behind me, but parts are starting to come in. We've got the fridge here now. I just placed the order for the framing materials for the bulk of the fit out, and things will continue showing up over the next couple of weeks, and I can't wait to share it all with you because I am super excited. If you like what I'm doing, it is a huge help to hit that like button and maybe consider subscribing and sticking around for a while, because the best is yet to come. I'm telling you that right now. We've got good stuff coming, and I really could not be more excited. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, get out and explore somewhere.